She was 16 months old and she had already found the handle. The Great Pyrenees was already at the door. What nobody knew was that this had been happening for 2 weeks. Jen Holbrook worked as an elementary school librarian. She was a person who organized things carefully, who knew where everything was, who maintained systems. She maintained a system for Addie's sleep, consistent bedtime, white noise machine, monitoring app on her phone. The app showed Addie in the crib, still, sleeping. The system was working. She trusted the system. Bear was a 3-year-old Great Pyrenees, 110 pounds, white and cloud soft, who had arrived in the house as a 12-week-old puppy and grown into the particular presence of a very large dog, who believes, with some justification, that he is responsible for everything in and around the property. He had patrolled. He had checked perimeters. He had positioned himself in doorways between the humans and whatever was outside in a way that was mildly inconvenient and deeply reassuring. He was, his husband Rob said, doing his job. The job just had too wide a scope. In the second week in November, Bear began spending the night at the front door, not the back door, which he typically monitored. The front door. He would move there sometime between midnight and 1 a.m. and stay until morning. Rob noticed first, stepping over him at 6 a.m. on the third day. He didn't mention it immediately because it seemed like a weather-related thing. Great Pyrenees were cold weather dogs. Perhaps something outside was drawing him. On the 5th morning, Jen mentioned it. On the 7th morning, they agreed to move past weather-related. She called the trainer they had used when Bear was a puppy. The trainer said the front door positioning was probably anxiety-related, a response to something external, a new animal in the area, a change in neighborhood scent, the recent installation of the neighbor's motion sensor lights. She recommended redirecting him to his bed, closing the hallway off at night with the secondary gate if necessary. They tried the gate for 3 nights. Bear pushed through it on the 4th. If you stay for stories about what animals sense before we do, you're in the right place. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. On a Thursday night, Jen set up the entryway camera, a secondary camera they had purchased but not yet activated, intended for the front porch. She positioned it inside the entryway, angled at the front door, turned it on and went to bed at 10:30. She watched the footage at 5:57 the next morning. At 2:14 a.m., the nursery monitor app showed Addie still in the crib. At 2:18 a.m., a small shape appeared at the bottom of the entryway camera frame. Addie in her fleece-footed pajamas, moving toward the front door with the determined walk of a toddler who has identified a destination. She had climbed out of the crib. They had not known she could do this. She had walked the 15 feet down the hallway in the dark. She reached the front door and put both hands on the lever handle and pushed down. The handle moved. The door did not open. Bear was pressed against it on the other side. Addie pushed again. Bear's 110 pounds held. She pushed a 3rd time, gave up at the pragmatic speed of a toddler, and walked back down the hallway. The crib monitor app showed movement at 2:23. She was back. Jen watched the footage 4 times before she woke Rob. Has your dog ever done something that made no sense until it was the only thing that made sense? Tell us in the comments. These stories deserve to be heard. The locksmith who came that week to install a deadbolt looked at the lever handle and explained something. Lever handles, unlike round knob handles, can be operated by children as young as 14 months. Round knobs require fine motor coordination that develops later. When they put the lever handle in 18 months ago during the renovation, they had made the door openable by their daughter, without knowing she would reach it, or that she would have a root. Dr. Anita Brennan, child safety specialist, reviewed the footage as part of a family safety audit the following month. She said, toddlers who discover they can move independently at night will do so repeatedly. The first incident is rarely the first attempt. She looked at the footage. Your dog was blocking that door for 2 weeks. He had learned her pattern before you had the camera. She said, in the time it takes a 16-month-old to cross a road at 2 a.m., you are looking at outcomes that do not improve with intervention. Every guardian deserves to be recognized, even the ones who never asked for anything in return. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe so you never miss the next one. The lever handles on the front and back doors have been replaced with round knobs. A keyed deadbolt has been added at adult height. The crib has been replaced with a floor-level toddler bed with a safety rail. The monitoring app has been upgraded to one that alerts on movement. Bear still sleeps near the front door most nights, not out of anxiety. He has a dog bed positioned 3 feet from it that Rob placed there after they watched the footage. The way you set up a post for someone who has been doing a job without being assigned one. He was not being anxious. He was not responding to a motion sensor light. He had learned the shape of a problem. 2 weeks before the family knew they had one, and he had been at his post every night since. Thank you for watching. If this story meant something to you, share it with a parent who has a toddler and a door with a lever handle. They may not know what they're trusting to hold.